Let's delve into a topic that has captivated minds for ages: the existence of the Antichrist on earth. Is this enigmatic figure possibly walking among us, subtly influencing our world? Get ready as we embark on a journey to uncover the truth in this video. Within the New Testament, the intriguing term Antichrist appears solely in John's Epistles 1, John 2, 18, 22, 4, 3, 2. John 7. Though John probably coined the term, he drew upon existing Jewish and Christian concepts to depict a formidable adversary against God's people. John's exploration of the Antichrist centers on refuting heretical notions. John labels the false teachers as Ante-Christ, attributing to them the spirit of the Antichrist. 4:3. A telling characteristic of these false teachers is their rejection of the truth that Jesus is the Christ and that he incarnated in human form. 1 John. These observations provide insights into the Antichrist in the Johannine Epistles, particularly in relation to eschatology and future prophecy. John establishes a distinction between antichrists, plural, and the Antichrist, singular. The plural term, antichrists, aligns with the false prophets and false messiahs, Christs, mentioned in the Olivet Discourse, Matthew 24:11-24, Mark 13:22. The closest relative term is false Christs, found in Matthew 24 and Mark 13:22, but John's use of anti instead of pseudo signifies opposition to Christ, rather than a mere pretense. The Antichrists could be influential figures within church subgroup, deviating from Christ's established norms, suggests Robert Yarbrough. They are driven by the spirit of the Antichrist, 4:3, recognized as the spiritual adversary of Christ and his followers. In 1 John 4:3, the Antichrist might be linked with the abomination of desolation, Mark 13:14, the man of lawlessness, 2 Thessalonians 2:3-4, and the beast, Revelation 13. This notion has its roots in Daniel's visions and other malevolent figures in the Old Testament, Ezekiel 28:2-3. Jewish apocalyptic traditions are rife with somber forecasts of an evil-inspired figure opposing the true people of God. By referencing the spirit of the Antichrist, 1 John 4:3, John likely envisaged this as a supernatural being. Moreover, this figure is potentially seen as a human manifestation of the malevolent force spoken of by Jesus himself. Matthew 13, John 17:15, cf. John 8:44. Howard Marshall's view that John doesn't demythologize the Antichrist figure, but emphasizes the reality of false teachers within the church possessing the spirit of the Antichrist, holds merit. This dual concern is evident in John's writings. The presence of antichrists in the present world suggests that we're currently in the eschatological last hour. This concept is crucial for understanding the unfolding of future events. John asserts that the existence of antichrists signifies the arrival of the eschatological last hour. This term holds theological weight, indicating a period that ushers in the culmination of ages, leading to the final judgment and salvation. In the Old Testament, the idea of the last days is rooted in the anticipation of God's intervention to fulfill his purposes for the world and his people. The New Testament writers recognized their time as the last days, inaugurated by Jesus' arrival, death, and resurrection. This transition marked a shift in the eschatological timeline. However, before Christ's return, they also foresaw an intensification of wickedness and events. Paul refers to this precursor figure as the man of lawlessness, one who seeks to rival God's authority. The man of lawlessness exalts himself above God, demanding worship solely for himself. This antagonist will persecute those who resist his dominance, employing deceitful tactics, miracles, and false teachings. He will mirror Jesus' miracles and teachings to appear messianic. Nonetheless, he will be vanquished by Jesus at his second coming. Throughout history, various figures like Nero, the Pope, and more were mistakenly identified as the eschatological Antichrist. While these claims were incorrect, they highlight the perennial presence of those opposing Christ. Every generation has individuals who could be deemed antichrists due to their opposition to Christ. In Revelation 13, a detailed portrayal of the eschatological Antichrist emerges under the name the Beast. Satan's conflict with God culminates in his focus on attacking God's people. The dragon employs two beasts to wage this war, with the sea beast representing the Antichrist and the land beast symbolizing a false prophet, forming an unholy trinity. The Antichrist rises with audacious arrogance, posing as a divine sovereign and demanding idolatrous worship. This counterfeit ruler intentionally mimics the true Lamb's authority, bestowed upon him by the dragon, the counterpart to the Father's granting of authority to Jesus. The Antichrist's reign over nations is symbolized by a pseudo-resurrection, cementing his position as an unchallenged despot, leading people to worship both him and the dragon. The Antichrist employs his authority to blasphemously assault, goad, and persecute his followers. Drawing from Daniel's vision, John depicts the little horn that boasts against God, persecuting the saints for a limited span of 3.5 years. Although allowed to harm the saints temporarily, this antagonist's oppression will ultimately be judged by God, vindicating the faithful and establishing his kingdom on earth. Revelation 13:7 reveals that the Antichrist wields authority for 42 months, engaging in warfare against the saints and achieving conquest over them, while Revelation 12:11 promises eventual triumph for the saints against Satan. This period of conflict results in physical death for some believers. The earth's inhabitants deceived and worshipped the beast and his accomplice, the false prophet, leading to the enforcement of idolatry and economic oppression against the saints. As Satan's onslaught continues, the righteous appear to be defeated, facing captivity and execution. However, Revelation 13:9-10 offers a prophetic admonition to the saints, urging them to remain steadfast, even in the midst of captivity and injustice. This echoes the message from Jeremiah, emphasizing endurance and trust in the face of adversity. Identifying the Antichrist involves paying attention to key clues that shed light on his deceptive nature. The titles Lawless One and Man of Sin, as used by Paul, provide valuable insights into recognizing this end-time deceiver. These names indicate that the Antichrist will not adhere to God's commandments and may even lead others away from them. However, the Antichrist's tactics won't likely involve overtly promoting the rejection of God or advocating murder and theft, as these would be too conspicuous. Instead, he will probably exploit the fact that many professed Christians already disregard certain commandments. Rather than dramatically breaking new ground, the Antichrist will subtly defy laws that are often ignored by modern believers. For instance, God's law emphasizes observing the seventh day, Saturday, as a holy day of worship, Exodus 28, Leviticus 23:3. Even the early New Testament church continued this practice, Acts 13:14. But today, many churches regard Sunday as their day of worship. Similarly, God's instruction to uphold his annual holy days and avoid pagan rituals, Leviticus 23, Deuteronomy 12:29-32, has been replaced by the acceptance of celebrations with pagan origins like Christmas and Easter. Moreover, God's law explicitly prohibits making images for worship, Exodus 20:4-5, Leviticus 26:1. Nonetheless, numerous contemporary churches incorporate pictures and statues in their religious practices, contrary to these commands. By disregarding these lesser-known commandments of God, the Antichrist will embody the description of a lawless one and a man of sin. Yet to those nominal Christians who lack a full understanding of God's directives, the Antichrist's behavior might appear normal and unassuming. Consequently, his deceitful actions might not arouse suspicion among those who haven't delved deeply into the Scriptures. Recognizing the Antichrist involves being vigilant about deviations from God's commandments, even those that often go unnoticed or unheeded. This underscores the importance of understanding and adhering to God's laws so as not to be led astray by a clever deceiver. So, this is all about the existence of an Antichrist on earth. What do you think of this? Comment below and subscribe for more.